everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode in the series in which we celebrate the extraordinary Diana Ross. And in this three-part series, I wanted to share with you my favorite Diana Ross gowns and the ones that I designed or collected through the years that were inspired by Diana Ross, always inspired. And it's very funny because as I look through my closet, every single gown, I say, well, that one wasn't intended, but it could absolutely be worn by Diana Ross. Now, as you may have guessed from the opening sequence that I showed you, I wanted to showcase a little bit of a Central Park, the extraordinary concert, and day one with the phenomenal orange catsuit. And this is how it began. I went to a store who I work with quite a bit and called Diamonds for Eden, and they had this dress in 8 or 9 colors. And when I saw the shape and the fit, I just thought it's so Diana Ross. But I said, does it come in orange? And the guy said, I have one. And it was a size 2, and he took it out of the back room, and I said, that one is for me. So I immediately made the coat in the orange chiffon. Diana Ross's coat is made in silk, designed by Issey Miyake. One of you pointed that out to me. I wasn't really sure about this costume. I knew the big opening costume that she wore for 5 seconds was Issey Miyake. So let me first show you, because I do my homework. I did end up making the pants, the catsuit, and this is a fabric that I absolutely love. I'll show it to you close up. I'll film it. It's sequins, different colors, different types of oranges, and so when I saw it, it immediately reminded me of the sheer fabric that Diana Ross wear, which is completely studded with crystals of different sizes. And I said, this is the closest to that I'll ever find, because that catsuit that Diana Ross is wearing costs a pretty penny, let me tell you. And so this is a funny story. I worked for a designer who had a boutique, and she's a friend of mine, and she was leaving for a couple of days, and she said, please, could you please keep the store open for me, because she has a shop. And I said, don't worry, I'll do it. And I kept her dog, and she was calling me every day and saying, I can never thank you enough. How can I thank you? How can I thank you? But I had been snooping in her room where she sews, and I found this, and so I knew exactly how she was going to repay me. And so when she got back and she said, listen, I'm going to pay you a certain sum for every single day that you worked, I said, this is what I want. And so I got 3 meters of fabric, and it was not enough, and the jumpsuit was too short. And somebody that was in the audience when I was on stage wearing it said to me, I have a little bit of fabric exactly the same. And I said, sell it to me for anything, I'll buy it. And I was able to lengthen the suit, because it just was wrong. It was too short. And if you see Diana Ross, her feet go, it has the feet included in them, and then she has the orange shoes. So for me, it just looked too short. It was driving me crazy. And so he gave me just enough to lengthen the legs, and I never did the hem because I was so afraid they would still be too short. And it's the kind of fabric that you don't need to hem. It never loses any sequence. So now I have my complete outfit, and every time it rains in Paris, I really want to wear this. So I'm gonna just model the dress without the wrap, and I want to shout out some of you, because in the shout outs last week, the ones who weren't mentioned, I got a couple of calls. And so I just want to, mention you all, but I don't want it to be too long. So I mentioned about 20 names each time. So here you are for this week. First of all, Chain Reaction. How can I not mention you with a name like that? Thank you so much. You're an absolute sweetheart and a huge fan of Diana Ross. And it's such a joy for me to meet people like you, because through the magic of YouTube, we're able to share, our love for Miss Ross. Because, you have to think, I live here in Paris, and, everyone loves Diana Ross, but I do sometimes get the odd, oh, I love Diana Ross too, especially the song Bad Girls. So you see what kind of fans I'm confronted with. Cynthia Lewis, you're so sweet and so kind. Thank you for your messages. My friend Muriel, who is from Belgium, that I met this summer on vacation. And this is for you, Muriel. Un gros baiser, because she watches my YouTube videos, and she's got a lot of work, but she still takes time to watch my videos. So a big kiss to you, Muriel, and I hope to see you soon. Fred Le Frog. So, as you know his name, Fred Le Frog est un Français and one of the very few French subscribers to my channel, because most of you are American, and when I started doing the videos, I knew it was going to be for an American public. That's why I did it in English. But from time to time, I have a few compatriots who listen to my messages. Christopher Day, thank you for your sweet messages. And Janie B, Charles Riley, I missed you last week, but you're here. Kirk, you said you were going to be listening in for your name being shout out. So Kirk, here it is once again. Just call my name and I'll be there in a hurry. And Malik Redding, I called you last week, but you're my friend, you're my sweetheart. Bowie TV, Richard Green, and Sonia Hope. Thank you all, because all of your messages are so kind. That piece of paper is, torn to shreds because I keep it in my pocket. And whenever I read one of your messages, I put your name in. So keep sending me messages and I will shout you all out in time. So let's go on to the next dress. So this gown is one of the most more recent ones that I repurposed. I used to have, I made the gown in this sequined fabric, which is a lot of fun because it's on one side it's kind of sheer flesh colored platinum, and then the sequin is reversible. I'll show you on the back, it's easier to see. So this is the color, but if you do this, it turns into gold. So it was a lot of fun, and I've even had people who would play around and write their initials or design some things in the back that weren't very flattering, but it was very funny. They had a lot of fun, and so it kind of never caught the light, and I think that's the most important thing in a gown. It has to catch the light, be comfortable, and be solid, because these gowns, you pay a pretty penny for them, and when you see sequins on the floor, or when you catch your heel in the back and you tear it, it's really heartbreaking. And it's also, you just think, God, I spent so much money and I can only get a few wears out of that dress. So this dress just never caught the light, and it was just kind of plain. It just, something was missing. And so one day I decided to change the neckline, and I was inspired by Diana Ross, a low-cut white gown that she wore at the Oscars in the 90s when she sang Somewhere Over the Rainbow. And I decided to put, big sequins that I had. And this, what you see, is actually the back of the dress. So it zips now in the front. And I tried it on and it was just perfect. I had to do a few adjustments and it was just impeccable that way. And then of course the point that you have at the back, which is to give the mermaid's tail, it was on the front. And I found out that there were quite a few designs in the 1930s and 40s where dresses were cut on the bias, and they did this on the front of the gown to give it a lot of movement. But this was an absolute mistake. And then I found these gold sequins, and I thought they were so much fun. And again, the reflections gown, and then Diana Ross had a few gowns that reflected the reflections gown that had these. So when I found them, I thought they'd go pretty well with the dress. And so now I wear it quite a bit. So let's move on to another dress. So this, my friends, do you see the inspiration? Well, it comes from different things. First of all, when you find a fabric like this and you just go berserk. And let me tell you, I was just telling you about when fabric is good quality, and when you make a gown that doesn't lose its sequins, it goes into the tiniest suitcase. It gets squished. You walk on it, you step on it, you trample it, and nothing happens. It just comes out perfect each time. Actually, with the more you wear it, the better it looks. And it was a pretty expensive fabric, and there was 3 meters left of the fabric. And Lionel, who gets me my fabric, said to me, listen, you take the whole 3 meters, because people were buying, just for a trim or whatever, and I'll give you a really good deal. And so I got it. Now, this is the kind of fabric, I don't know if any of you make clothes, but it's when you have fabric like this, you never want to cut it. And so, of course, the first thing I thought of was the Mugler coat that Diana Ross wears in the fashion show, the purple coat, which we sent to her and that she kept, and she changed the collar a little bit. She took out some beads, and then she's worn it over and over again. And she wore it at Radio City Music Hall when she did her show, and she actually redid the whole Mugler outfit. She changed it and keeping some elements, and she made them more wearable and more appropriate to her, and she really did an amazing job. So that was the first thing, but I wanted it to be a dress because I would get more wear out of it. And so it also reminded me of a gown which you see very little of, but it's in this color. It's the video clip to Mirror Mirror. So this is the 80s. The lighting is very, very dark, and you just see a tiny bit of shine, and you don't see the whole gown. And but it has this sparkle to it. So I sometimes add shoulder pads to the gown, and sometimes I just take them off. They're always on hooks so that I can put them on or off. But I just adore this, and so the shape that I settled for was the classic Diana Ross gown, the ones that she wears the most of in most recent concerts. And it's also because you do not touch the fabric. It is really just folded over, and then the sleeves, you add an extra piece because it's just the width of the fabric. And then here you just sew to your waist, and I left it open because I wanted something very low cut. I wanted to show the legs, but it's just a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful fabric. And I wish it came in different colors. I would have, well, if I could afford, I could have made a couple more of these gowns. And it's just so much fun to wear. And it's also, being that voluminous and spectacular, it weighs nothing, and it goes into the tiniest, like if you put this in a suitcase, it doesn't take up any room, and it catches the light so beautifully. It's really what I call scarab color, that insect that goes from purple to green, just beautiful, beautiful insects. And this dress is just everything. You wear this and you are on stage. So Diana Ross did an amazing, amazing Broadway show with the Supremes and the Temptations, which was TCB on Broadway. And in this show, she had an extraordinary 8 or 9 minute medley of all the leading ladies of Broadway, and she portrayed all different kind of characters, from singing from My Fair Lady, South Pacific, and Annie Get Your Gun. So of course, when I was given the theme cowboy for a New Year's Eve party that I was hosting, my inspiration once again was from Diana Ross. And so I made this little number, which was a great success, and it also gave me some privacy whenever I wanted to redo my makeup. So this is what I came up with, and this is how much of an inspiration Diana Ross is. I think it's because she has worn so much, and she has attempted so many different styles, and being a designer herself, she really, really knows what things are going to really show on camera. And that's what's magnificent about the work that she's done with Bob Mackie especially. It's that when you see these clothes up close, it's not that, they're very elaborate, but it's just very well placed. You sometimes think, oh my God, it's covered in stones and sequins and rhinestones. They're all over the place, but not really. They're just in the right place, not everywhere. And when I saw this passage where she has all the different looks, and she goes from being a little girl to being that absolute glamour, a queen in My Fair Lady in a black and white gown. It's just fantastic to see how precise she was with the camera, how the hat, hides her face and then she appears. It's just absolutely amazing. It's also in that sequence where she has that unbelievable head of hair with the flowers, and she sings, "I'm gonna wash that man right out of my hair," which is such a smart thing to do. And she was copied all over the world by so many different types of artists. They all were. Well, did you notice how I say people copy Diana Ross, but I'm just inspired? There are ways of using the English language. You can say whatever you want, but yeah, there is definitely copy, and in any case, a lot of admiration. So I just wanted to show you this before moving on to the next gown. I really believe that Diana Ross looks the most spectacular in certain colors. Red, white, that very a powerful blue that she wore, the most famous gown that she wore in An Evening with Diana Ross, that very, very strong Persian blue, and yellow. I think she's just stunning. Now, she wore a lot of yellow when she was pregnant. I don't know if you remember, but it's just, she's just so stunning in that color, because it's just a version of gold. Because of course in silver and gold she looks fabulous, but the yellow is even brighter, I find, than gold. Gold is very hard to reproduce in fabric, and so this is again from Diamonds from Eden, and I always have a hard time saying I designed it, because I don't really, it's just such a simple gown. But something happened when I did make the drawing for the guy. He didn't understand my back drawing, or he didn't find it. And so he just went along with doing something like they usually have, because they have their own patterns. And this is the back of the dress. And so I think it's very beautiful, and it's very Diana Ross. But when you're a boy and you don't have anything in the front, you need to have a bra, the padded bra. So it has to show. So when I saw it, and this is beaded in India, and it's just all hand beaded, so the work is just magnificent. Now, they're cheaper than they should be because there's so much work in this, but the other side, the flip side, is that they don't last forever. I mean, the beads, once one bead is broken off, you have a whole strand, because they don't stop at each bead. They just bead and bead and bead really, really, really quickly, but it's hand done. So when I saw the dress and I tried it on, I went, oh my God, I'm in trouble. This I'll never be able to wear. And he was like, no, don't worry. We're just going to do a yellow strap here and I'll add some beads. And I was like, oh my God, it's going to be horrible. And so what happened is it was just perfect. I was able to find these combs that are, that fit the dress perfectly. Now if you hit yourself, then there's nothing in them, because the dress can't hold anything with weight. But when you just stay still, they're absolutely fine. And then, because Diana Ross had worn the yellow feathers to hide her tummy when she was pregnant, I had this boa made to wear, in different ways. So this is the way Diana Ross wore her dress. It was ostrich feathers, but not this type of feather, and she was just so magnificent. But because she was pregnant, and the reason why she wore the feathers is because she didn't want anybody to see that she was. And so whenever I wear this dress now, I've worn it a million times, because it just, people always ask me when I'm about to do a show, they go, are you going to wear the yellow dress? So, because it is really, really just absolutely spectacular. And with the yellow feathers, there's just, it really works well. But strangely enough, I wore it to do Shirley Bassey and Dalida, who's the French star that I adore so much, but rarely as Diana Ross, because people want to see her for some reason in white or silver or gold, but or red, but for some reason they don't see her in yellow, because she's not worn it in recent years. She's not worn yellow in more recent years. But I just love this dress. And even though the back was a bit of a shock, because I had, of course, designed it, given the measurements so that to hide the bra, it came out quite all right. But anyway, I had no choice, because once you paid for this baby, you got to wear it. Okay, friends, let's see if you guessed this one. If you remember, in the mid-90s, Diana Ross did a television special and an album which was called Christmas in Vienna, with Carreras and Placido Domingo. And she was absolutely breathtaking. She had costume changes. She sang magnificently with the choir, with the Vienna orchestra, and she was just absolutely spectacular. Now, that album was one of the best-selling albums for that year, and it's one of the best-selling Christmas albums ever. And of course, it's thanks to Diana Ross, because she brings the element of glamour and of pop to sometimes a music that can be a little bit stuffy. And her first appearance, she appeared in a gown that was in a dark red velvet, and she wore that gown again at the Soul Train Awards. I don't know if you remember, she came running down and she went to kiss Whitney Houston. And I just loved that dress. I loved the way the sleeves went, and it had a little bit of lace here. I just thought it was magnificent. So I asked one of my friends Damien to make it for me because his specialty is pleating. Now the Diana Ross dress is not pleated, but it had a petticoat under, and so I have the petticoat. I don't always put it on. So the best way was to have this kind of fabric. And so what happened is the dress is the fabric is sent to be pleated, and then the dress is cut, because you can't you can't pleat it afterwards. And I just thought it looked fantastic. It's not the one that looks the best on me. I kind of look a little bit big here at the waist. On the mannequin it's great, but I pulled it in. But on me it kind of looks a bit thick. It just doesn't, the waist is a bit high. But I wanted to do something that was very reminiscent of what Diana Ross wore, because when I saw her appear, then afterwards she wore two more pieces that were gowns that we know, the white gown with all the sequins and then one with big sleeves. But we know those gowns, but this one was a new one. You know how Diana Ross is, she always has an inaugural gown. The first, when she starts a show or when she has a first appearance, the first one is brand new, and then you see dresses that you've already worn. And her second time singing, she came back with the gown, but she had on this kind of incredible padded coat, and I'm not sure, it's in a church that it was filmed, but it seemed to be a very cold place, and it had a beautiful print on it. And so I found a fabric that had nothing to do with what she's wearing, but it was kind of that kind of print and Ottoman kind of shape. And so I decided to make it. Now I never wear them together, but I wanted to show it to you today because she did put on something like this, and I thought it was so amazing that she not only premieres this beautiful, beautiful gown, but then when she comes back to sing, she has to add a little something. And she came back with a coat that was similar in the cut to this one, with very, very big sleeves. And she just seemed so, warm in it and comfortable. And it was also very Christmassy. And that's what I love about Diana Ross, because this is a Christmassy dress. So anyway, guys, this was the third part, and maybe part 4. I got so many more gowns, but I don't want this to be redundant. But in any case, just tell me what you think. And I want to thank you all once again for your kindness and for your generosity and your appreciation and the time that you take to watch these videos. So I'll see you next week. And next week, we're going to take a little break, and I'm going to talk about all the times that Diana Ross has been sampled in modern music, and you're going to see that she has inspired every single generation, and it's really, really amazing how important her music is. And when you hear a little bit of Diana Ross in a rap song, you just go crazy. So I'll see you next week. Bye bye.